It is my revolutionary duty to be part of the armed struggle of the revolution in South Africa.
First and foremost, it's not Chris, as you have correctly said. It's Martin Tembisi Hani. Chris was the name of one of his brothers, which he adopted alongside during the underground struggle. The reason basically being that for security reasons, in order to evade the then apartheid security establishment, where most of us had to change identities. So coincidentally, Chris is not my contemporary, but he was far senior than me. So it was a tradition that when you join the underground struggle, you lose the normal identity, the name, even physically sometimes where necessary. Like you'll know, Bram Fischer had to undergo plastic surgery while he was underground here around Johannesburg here, after the Suppression of Communism Act that was enacted in 1955. So it sometimes went to those extremes. You change names as you go along so that the enemy is unable to trace you, basically.
Chris Hani was a fighter. He was a man of stature. And why I say that is that he was not an extremist. He was a person who had family values. You'd know that he is highly hailed as a family man, as a family person. He has a beautiful family that speaks highly of him. That would say that yes, we borrowed we borrowed our father to the world for the purposes of fighting for freedom.
When my dad was at home, he was at home. Like that's what I loved about him. That he was very family oriented. So, for example, in summer, what we used to do, we loved swimming. He was very active, and that's where we would be. But normally, our house was just a hive of activity. His friends were always over, and my mom's friends, just a lot of adults and a lot of kids.
During periods like Christmas, New Year, he'd round us up all and say, "Guy, let's go for shopping." And then he'd ask one by one, "What do you want?" You say, "I want whiskey there, I want beers there." He would take us all there. And then in terms of clothes, he would say, "What type of clothes do you need?" Of course, you say, "I need that pair of clothes," Crockett and Jones and all these other names, even including hats. So he was the man of the people.
So it was one of those homes that was just very busy like that. But when we had quiet moments, you'd either find us, we would be watching movies, you'd be reading somewhere, then we'd get together as a family and eat. And he was a very helpful man around the house. You know, he loved being in the kitchen as well. He would help my mom cook. He was just around. I don't know how to describe it, but you always felt his presence.
Even Mam Dimpohani, as a wife, felt that she had a husband. So he was a resilient person with humility. He was a man of stature, a man to be respected and to be remembered for years to come.
They were in the garage. That's where he used to work out. Do you know, because he was active, we did active things. So I guess that's how he encouraged us, because when he'd go running, then I'd get on my bike and cycle after him. But he never said, "You guys must get healthy" or whatever. And we ate healthy, he was active, we were active, and we were kids. He didn't like us to sit in front of the TV all day. And he especially despised Mario Brothers, because when we moved, it was the new game we got. And he once said to us, "If I hear that theme song one more time, I will lose it." So we had to start listening to it on mute, playing it on mute. But he'd hate it. If he had to leave the house and we were playing, and we come back, and he comes back and we're playing, we know that day we'd have a fit.
I'm happy as a person.
It involved my late sister Kwesi and I, and it was during the weekend, and we wanted to get DVD. Now, Daddy was busy exercising in the garage, and he kept on saying, just now, and kept on nagging him, and finally he was finished. He took us to the DVD store. Now, he never came out the car. You know, he didn't know parenting styles as yet. So we said, oh, just wait in the car. We go inside, we do what we wanted to do and get what we wanted to get, which was Basic Instinct. Now, we were underage to get Basic Instinct. So the DVD man said to us, do your parents know that you're getting this movie? So I said, yes, there's our dad over there. And we went, Daddy? And he was like, so we took the DVD. And then later on that night, as we were watching, thinking they're sleeping, my mom comes out, sees what we're watching, had a fit. And nevertheless, my dad now got out every time, went to the DVD store, because my mom said, Tembi, you have to watch these kids.
Chris was a loyal, disciplined, and responsible ANC cadre.
Four shots were fired at about 10 this morning.
I saw Chris Hani dead.
I look back to that day with vivid memories. They decided to eliminate me by sending an agent to kill me.
The issue is survival of the whites in this world of ours.
This is civil war, man. This is civil war. This is the start of a civil war.
It makes me actually realize, you see, with impatience, the need to defeat, this regime. And I don't mince my words when I'm speaking about this regime. I hate it intensely. I hate it.
En met daardie aanspraak is die AWP bereid om die dood tegemoet te gaan. Hulle kry nie ons land nie. Ons sal die ANC gelyk maak met wapengeweld in hierdie land voor hulle.
Young people put aside everything in life to concentrate in the fight against white domination.
Our policy is one which is called by an Afrikaans word apartheid. And I'm afraid that has been misunderstood so often. It could just as easily, and perhaps much better, be described as a policy of good neighborliness.
We don't hate the blacks. We are not racist. We don't hate anybody. We just ask, if the Zulus have a certain culture, let them have their culture. Why should everybody minimize the value they attach now to their culture and region and language? Why should they minimize it to form a new South Africa? If they want to, let them have their own homeland and let them mix at will.
Om te oorhandig aan die communisten van die ANC. Dit is God se land. Dit is gelofte land. En hulle sê die AWP dreig weer. Ja! Ek dreig julle in die duidelikste taal. Hou jou pote af van die boere se grond.
Small as we are, and with what we've got, we will defend this country to the last man.
I disagree with a lot of people who think that those people have changed because they've done nothing about removing the forces that they created. One thing I can say, we're fit actually, we're really specimens of physical fitness. We had prepared thoroughly for this thing.
I introduce to you Comrade Chris Hani.
I'm baptized now. I'm stronger. I'm all unnerved now, very cool and determined. Now we're going to get involved, you see, pitting our strength, testing ourselves against the other side.
They had assassinated us. They had crossed borders to kill us and destroy Umkhonto weSizwe. But all in vain.
Making no apologies as the Communist Party. So that all people can have access to the land. Equally, we're making no apologies. Food must be free and compulsory. We're also making no apologies. Medical care must be free and compulsory. We shall fight for those demands.
I'm reminded of this gruesome and inhuman regime, a cruel regime. People who were fighting for a right to oppress the majority of the people of this country.
The house that we bought should be able to secure a certain level of tourist destination, and it should be able to speak to some level of heritage, because we must be able to harness the rich history we have as a city, and we must be able to translate that into economic opportunities for the people of Ekurhuleni.
Wayeshilo umsizi Dube hasina mali asisebenzi hasina mali asisebenzi hasina mali. That's what umsizi Dube will say, and that song still remains relevant today, that as long as there is no socialism in our country, Wayeshilo umsizi Dube hasina mali, our people are still suffering. Therefore the case for socialism become more relevant than ever today.
Ungabodala impi yabulala isando. Ungabodala impi yabulala. Ungabodala impi yabulala. Ungabodala. That's all, Comrade. He wasn't a good singer after all, but he could do that. You see that. But he hated class enemies, especially the songs that were attached to the white generals that were conducting genocide throughout Southern Africa. He hated them. So any song composed around that hatred, he used to enjoy it. But in terms of Western music, no, I don't remember. But he used to love Russian music, like Galinka, Galinka, Galinka Maya, oh, Galinka, Galinka. He used to dance those Russian dances like that. He loved them because he was a product of the Russian Soviet education and training.
Top of the poll, and with 1,858 votes, Chris Hani.
The whole objective was to plunge the country into a situation where, as a result of the chaos which we anticipated would occur as a result of the assassination, that people on the right would be inspired to mobilize and use this vacuum caused by the chaos to effect a counter-revolution and to take over power of the country. That was the whole object, and I mean, that's why a man like the late Chris Hani had to be the target.
In their actions, the killers of Chris Hani sought to sow division among the people of South Africa so that they could protect minority interests. However, the leadership of President Nelson Mandela rose to the occasion and called on all of us not to allow minority interests and the actions of disruptors to shift our focus. President Mandela called on all of us to honor the sacrifice of Comrade Chris Hani by uniting and accelerating our advance towards democratic elections.
A neighbor to Chris, a white woman, they alerted the police that, hey, a crime has been committed, my neighbor has been assassinated. Nelson Mandela speaks of that incident. He was already during CODESA talks, and then everything was on board, above board, and then he actually praised that white lady who created conditions for the assassins to be arrested, tried, and be sentenced.
The cold-blooded murder of Chris Hani has sent shock waves throughout the country and the world. Our grief and anger is tearing us apart. A white man full of prejudice and hate came to our country and committed a deed so foul that our whole nation now teeters on the brink of disaster.
It is clear that we had a responsibility to save the detachment. We never lost a battle to the bullies in Pretoria.
But things changed immediately after the assassination of Chris. People wanted to take up arms. A few of white people somewhere were assaulted or killed or something. But President Mandela had to come up to say, cool it down, cool it down. And then gradually people understood that in the struggle, anything is possible. Sacrifices like this are part and parcel of the revolutionary struggle.
I want to be honest. I was annoyed. I know the names, I know the faces.
I do remember the day that he died. I was in Lesotho. We had gone there for Easter weekend. So that's where I was. And I was walking to the cinema with my friends in Lesotho. And we were going to invite another family friend. So when we walked to their house, we saw the car, my mom's car. And then that's when a whole group of women rushed out of the house, crying and embracing me. And my mom said to me, your dad's been shot. So I remember thinking, what's the big deal? He's been shot before. So I asked, what hospital? And then my mom said, no, this time he's been shot dead. And that's when we had to drive back to Joburg.
4 shots were fired at about 10 this morning.
I think the day that I first saw his picture, it was those eyes. He still has, but then there were just these intense blue Nordic eyes, and there was just no emotion. They were just so vapid. So I wanted to understand how someone could come to this country and do what he did. And it's just the day that he killed my father, we were intrinsically linked. There was not one without the other, you know? And I wanted to know I think for me, it was human curiosity about what kind of person does what he did. So ever since I can remember, I've always been slightly obsessed with meeting this guy.
Weeks I've got reservation about the amnesty they are talking about.
Darling Daddy, we, your 3 daughters, whom you were always so proud of, want to say to you, thanks for all the love, the care, and the cheer you brought us up with. You will always be in our hearts forever. Lots of love, hugs, and kisses. Neo, Kwezi, and Lindy.
The day he pulled that bullet brought in motion a lot of trauma in my life. My late sister was there that day. And as a result, her life was forever affected by Daddy's death. And I think led her into a different path and ultimately to her death. So I think that day he managed to take 2 very important people in my life. And so he took away a grandfather. He took away a male role model in my life. I mean, I would have loved to grow up with a father. So I cannot forgive him for that. But what I have done is I've accepted that it's happened, and I've accepted his apology.
They decided to eliminate me by sending an agent to kill me.
Well, we want to turn the city from being just a city to a tourist destination. The city of Ekurhuleni houses the biggest airport in Africa. Everyone across the world who comes and lands in South Africa, because you land in South Africa by landing in Ekurhuleni. Therefore, the aerotropolis space that we are in the process of actually coming through with, we want people to be able to relate to the struggle icon that is very much iconic to the city.
Chris Hani was a leader of the people.
I can describe Chris Hani as a communist.
Chris Hani was a revolutionary.
The liberator of humankind.
Loving. Powerful.
One gets speechless when you have to describe Chris Hani. He was a martyr, he was above life.
And the bravest man I've ever known.
Chris Hani was the person who used to like to see all South Africans to live in a better South Africa.
Died for us. He fought for freedom.
He's a very good hero to me, to the things that he did for South Africa and for the community that he lived in.
Chris Hani, to me, that's my icon. That's my best icon. That's my best president to be, even in the grave now.
He made sacrifices for us to be where we are today.
He's a hero because I wasn't there, but now I've got freedom.
He fought for like majority of all black people. He wanted freedom in South Africa. He didn't want us to be under white people.
Long live on him, Chris Hani, long live. We still want to fighting for it, fighting for the spirit we have been fighting for him.
Thank you for being my father.
But the brave, proud black South Africans, who with their hands, with limited resources, have refused to be browbeaten, have refused to surrender. For although I was not coming into a situation of freedom, but I knew that nothing would stop us from marching forward to freedom, to a new South Africa, into a free country, into a country where they would fight for social justice, in a country where we would begin to tackle the problems of the poverty of our people.